Story 1. It really depends on who says it, the tone, and the context. If it's my fiancé, for example, I'm happy about it and probably say you too or a playful know you. If it's a stranger and the context is non-threatening and makes sense within the conversation, I'll probably say, ah, thank you. If it's a stranger in a similar context but the comment comes a bit out of the blue, I might feel confused and awkward and probably say, huh, thank you. If someone approaches me with that as an opening line and the tone is off, I'll likely give them a side eye and walk away. If the tone is not off, like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to intrude, but I just noticed you're so beautiful, I'll probably also say, ah, thank you, because I often respond that way when I find someone exceptionally attractive. The same applies if it comes from a nice older lady. If it's my mom, I take a deep breath and brace myself, because I know the next thing she'll say will be, but you'd be so much better if you lost weight. Such a shame. If it's my best friend, it's probably because she's giving me a pep talk about not giving up. So most of the time it will be a long text expressing how much she loves me and how amazing I am. I'll likely reply, I love you. Good job on making me cry. Story 2. Usually, I playfully respond with a, oh, I try. But if I can tell the person really means it, like a boyfriend or love interest, I simply say thank you. Story 3. I am a man. The last time someone called me beautiful was 35 years ago. It was my grandmother, and she has passed away. Story 4. When I was a kid, a family friend asked me to do something for her, possibly to record something on the TV. Keep in mind that English isn't her first language. I was busy, so I declined, but she insisted, saying, please, you are a beautiful boy. How did I react? I was bemused, laughed, and eventually gave in to her request. So I guess it worked. Story 5. The only reasonable reaction to a compliment is to become overwhelmed and respond negatively. Story 6. In my head, they likely want something or have low beauty standards and hope they won't follow it with, can I have your number? What I actually say, thanks. Story 7. Very uncomfortable. I would never call a man handsome unless I was dating him. I am grateful that the unwanted comments largely ended after menopause. Story 8. Well, there is only one person I will ever let call me beautiful, and I blush so much when I am called it. Story 9. I struggle with receiving compliments. I always say thank you, but I worry it comes off as dismissive when I am actually very flattered. Story 10. Smile and say thank you. However, be cautious of their intentions and ensure they notice the ring on my finger. Story 11. To snort, look around to see if any friends are hiding nearby to jump out and laugh when they get the signal. If that isn't the case, look around for anyone else they could be talking to, even if another person is far away. Story 12. I usually use a dismissive but playful response like saying, stop, you're making me blush. Saying thank you feels awkward. I worry that I'll sound arrogant and that it seems like I'm admitting they're right when I feel the opposite. Story 13. My wife and I attended a metal concert in London a few years ago. I am a big man, 6 feet 3 inches tall and 250 pounds. An even taller man, who must have been 6 feet 6 inches and probably 300 pounds, walked right up to me. I thought he was going to start something, but he simply stroked my face gently and said, you are beautiful. I just mumbled, thank you, in shock while my wife laughed at me. Story 14. I often think people say kind things just to be nice, and I doubt their sincerity. I am married with 3 children, so someone must find me attractive, and I had many relationships when I was younger. However, I never considered myself beautiful. Throughout my life, I have felt unattractive, regardless of what others said. So, when someone tells me I am beautiful, I feel uncomfortable and struggle to believe them. Story 15. I think everyone's beauty standards and styles are different. In my opinion, I believe I look good in general. Story 16. As someone who has suffered from low self-esteem and low confidence, it feels awkward when someone says how beautiful I am. I turned red and asked myself, is that person joking? Story 17. This has rarely happened. I remember every time someone says that to me, it always means a lot to me, I am speechless when I hear those words. Story 18. I find it hard to believe and usually lose the ability to form complete sentences for a minute or so after. Story 19. You say when people compliment you, you find it hard to believe them. Story 20. I usually say, "Ah, thank you." My young students often tell me this. If they seem happy, I say thank you and add, "I appreciate that," which makes their faces beam. They are the cutest when they do that, to be honest. Story 21. What am I supposed to do with that information? It's a genetic lottery I won and had no role in contributing to. It's also the least interesting aspect of me. I appreciate it, but please be more specific next time. Story 22. Well, if I'm walking around a big city, then you're probably a creep or trying to sell me something. Either way, if it's someone I know, I say, "Thanks, but look at you." Story 23. A thank you and a smile are often the best responses. If I see another woman who looks stunning, I will compliment her, saying things like, "I love your hair," or "Those earrings are gorgeous." Sometimes I might simply say, "You look great." When I encounter a guy, my response varies from just a smile or a peace sign to saying, "Thank you," along with a smile. In both cases, I usually walk away quickly and purposefully. Story 24. There is no one in my life who could call me that in a way that is not somewhat inappropriate, so I would probably feel uncomfortable at the very least. Story 25. I have never been called beautiful by someone who genuinely appreciated my physical appearance and communicated that sentiment to me. I am a 30-year-old man. Story 26. I would be shocked, and it would likely be a life-altering event for me that I would remember forever. I would probably smile unconsciously, but then a thought of insincerity would creep in, leading me to internally debate whether the compliment was genuine. I would conclude that it was likely sincere because why would someone feel compelled to tell me otherwise? Then I would ride that high for a while. In college, about 15 years ago, a girl complimented my shirt, and I still remember it. I held on to that feeling until the shirt became rags, and my wife insisted we throw it out. When I met my wife at work, she revealed that many of the girls in the office thought I was attractive, and I still remember her telling me that over 10 years ago. No one has ever called me beautiful directly, except for one of my parents. Story 27. Well, thank you. You just made my day. I remember being at a small airport in Albuquerque when a man rushed by, looking for signs and gates, clearly late and uncertain about where he needed to be. He suddenly stopped, looked at me and said, "Your look is stunning. Very beautiful. Good for you." I was in town for in vitro fertilization treatments and was on my way home with the news that I was pregnant with twins. Felt as though I was radiating love and happiness into the universe. Story 28. Part of me thinks they are trying to get something from me because my self-esteem is not that great. However, I have not been wrong yet. Story 29. Thank you, but it's my Elton John glasses that get the comments. I wanted a pair of glasses that my eyes could see through from a few yards away, in case my horse knocked them off, which has happened several times, often resulting in lost glasses during distant rides. His red glasses did the trick. I am 62 and feel great. Elton's lenses made a positive impression. My wife was initially upset, but now likes them too. Story 30. I am not beautiful, and I appreciate that others see beauty in me enough to say it. However, I thank them for their kind words. I got into a lot of trouble for ever claiming I was beautiful, so accepting such compliments is not easy for me. Story 31. I feel flattered and speechless unless it's my husband. Then, I strike a model pose in front of him and accept the compliment. Story 32. I often feel that compliments are insincere. When someone romantically interested in me gives a compliment, I believe they are just trying to make me like them back. If someone genuinely expresses that they like me, including my appearance, I find myself thinking, "Wow, they must have poor taste." Or, "They probably like me because I don't seem out of their league. I wonder what is wrong with me." Story 33. I am a guy with very long hair that reaches mid-back. An older lady at work called my hair beautiful, but then she immediately backtracked because she thought it might have offended me. She referred to it as handsome the second time. Sometimes I do want to feel beautiful. Story 34. I never know how to react. Honestly, I feel that if I say thank you, it comes across as me being full of myself. Story 35. As a guy, what is wrong with them? How do I get away? If someone thinks I am good looking in any way, that is a clue they have problems, and I need to avoid them at all costs. Story 36. I laugh. I can't help it because I know they are lying. My husband says I should just say thank you, but it seems so dishonest to express that. Story 37. I do something unconventional to be intentionally unattractive, unless it's a stranger, which doesn't happen often. Then I just say thank you. Story 38. Overwhelmingly, I brush it off. I try to say thank you or you're too kind, but when I feel truly seen, it melts me. Think of the scene in Tangled when Eugene looks at Rapunzel in the boat, or any other similar moment in a movie. That's the good stuff. Story 39. I check if he has a bottle, if he looks sleep-deprived, or if there are any other deviations. If I find nothing suspicious, I begin to wonder what he wants. While I am doing that, I say, thank you. Story 40. My first reaction is to look around because they are definitely not talking to me. My second reaction is to wonder what they need from me. Story 41. Smile, say thank you, and add a so are you if it's a lady. I don't know how to compliment men, and I prefer to avoid trouble, so I'll just smile and say thank you to the guys. Story 42. I try to avoid it without addressing it. Men compliment me often, and it makes me very uncomfortable, especially when they are friends whose girlfriends I know. If it's a straight woman or a gay man, I say thank you. Story 43. My apparent reaction is disbelief, but deep down I am giggling and I am convinced I am at the top of the world. Story 44. I try to be polite and say thank you, but sometimes I am taken aback for a moment and do not know how to respond. Feels awkward. I never know what to do with my body language. Story 45. My dad owns a dental practice, and I was helping out once when I overheard a male patient say, "Is that your daughter? She's very beautiful." It was a bit creepy. I was 16 at the time. Story 46. First, I check to ensure their glasses are not cracked. Then, I look to see if there are any empty liquor bottles nearby. Finally, I observe to find out who they are really talking to. Story 47. It was about a decade ago, and I still think about it. There was this older woman waiting for her husband who said I was beautiful. I was taken aback and thought, wow, thanks. I am a butch woman who doesn't wear makeup, so it's not something I hear often. I believe an older woman wouldn't just lie to me about that. Story 48. I will inform you if it ever happens. Do people really get called beautiful so often that they have a standard reaction? Story 49. What is your agenda? Is this a prank? What do you want from me? Unless it is my wife. Then I will blush and say, ah shucks. Story 50. I will let you know when it happens. I don't think I have been complimented on my looks in recent years. Story 51. I haven't been called beautiful directly, but occasionally a boss would look at something I did and exclaim, beautiful, just beautiful. Story 52. It's never anyone I would want to say it to. I almost never get called beautiful by significant others, so I awkwardly laugh it off as it's almost always from strangers. Story 53. It's never happened. My mom did tell me once that I'm not beautiful anymore, so I guess at some point she thought I was but never said it. I don't know. I have always known I am average at best. Story 54. Humility. I don't consider myself overly attractive. I'm the type of girl whom people call cute and compliment my smile. Story 55. I was wearing a heavy jacket on a moving job. My boss asked, "Aren't you hot?" I replied, "Why, thank you. I needed that today." Story 56. Suspicion carries too much depth to be used lightly, so hearing it from a stranger raises alarm. My appearance is barely above average, making the accusation feel undeserved and inappropriate. Story 57. First, don't believe them. Then, consider that they may be intoxicated or overly flirtatious and lack standards. If I sense they are serious and genuinely mean it, I blush like a tomato and flee the scene like a teenager. Story 58. It is always followed by son of a bitch. So I am unsure what this means without that added at the end. Story 59. It depends on how well I know the person. If it's someone who is essentially an acquaintance, I just say, thank you. If it's friends or family, I say, aren't I always? Internally, my reaction isn't anything special. The compliment makes me feel good about myself, but I know it's because I worked hard to believe it myself. Story 60. Thank you. It's the reaction I hope for when I call someone beautiful. What goes around comes around. Story 61. Context. Is it a random person on the street or a friend or family member? If it is a random person on the street, my reaction is to say go away, because that kind of catcalling is inappropriate. If it is a friend or family member, a simple thank you suffices. Story 62. Oh, thanks. And then I inwardly squirm with anxious thoughts that tell me it must be a joke because I'm overweight. Unless it comes from my boyfriend, then depending on my mood, it's either thank you, sweetheart, or I respond with low self-esteem grunts. Story 63. It feels like they are trying to feed a crumbled bill into a vending machine, which continuously returns the bill. This creates an awkward situation for everyone involved. Story 64. The only time I was called beautiful was when I was thin. I didn't trust them then, and I don't trust them now. Story 65. This was around 2012 when I was in high school. I posted a picture on Facebook walking through a Walmart parking lot with Chinese food in one hand and a John Deere fur bomber hat on. My best buddy quoted Sammy Kershaw. He doesn't know he's beautiful, though time and time I told him so, and I still chuckle. It was the only time I've been called beautiful. It was funny but felt nice, even jokingly. Story 66. Usually, I use self-deprecating humor because I can't believe anyone thinks I'm actually beautiful. Story 67. In my head, I'm thinking, oh, stop it. I don't believe you. But out loud, I'll respond, oh, thank you. That's nice of you. And blush. Story 68. I like to accept a compliment in the spirit it is given rather than take on the hassle of arguing over it. I say, oh, what a lovely thing to say thank you. If it is my husband, I say, thank you, darling, so are you. Or I know, as he loves Star Wars. For context, I am a grandmother in my 50s and have never considered myself beautiful. Story 69. I thank them and continue the conversation. I appreciate it, but sometimes it makes me uncomfortable, and I just want to move on. Story 70. The only time it comes up is when I do something clever, and my wife says, see kids? Dad's not just a beautiful face. He's handy. I may be a fat old man, but I'm beautiful inside. Please don't look inside. Story 71. Me, you mean, let me understand this. Maybe it's me, but I'm beautiful. How? I mean, beautiful like I'm a clown? I amuse you? I make you laugh? I'm here to amuse you? What do you mean beautiful? Beautiful how? How am I beautiful? Them just, how you're just beautiful. Me, no, I don't know. You said it. How do I know? You said I'm beautiful. How am I beautiful? What is so beautiful about me? Tell me. Tell me what's beautiful. Story 72. Elation and disbelief. I wonder if they really mean it, especially when it's coming from someone I am attracted to. I have been called ugly to my face just as easily as I have been called pretty or beautiful, so you don't know what or whom to believe after a while. Story 73. Only happened once, and I said, well, thank you. I'm in my 70s, so I don't think it will happen again. Story 74. Thank you, that is very kind of you to say. At least that is what I imagine I would say if anyone ever gave me a compliment. Story 75. My partner says it every day. I always blush and try to say thank you, but mostly I just respond, oh, I'm so tired. Or something similar. Story 76. Haven't been called that, at least not directly to me, and especially never in real life. I have been complimented on my voice more than once, so I guess that's something. Story 77. My baby's smile. Straight. I'm a little kid who just got a star for correctly spelling house. Unintentionally. Story 78. I scratch an itch in my stubble, look behind me, then look back at them before smirking and walking away, shaking my head. Story 79. I'm the prettiest I have ever been in my life by the standards of society because I'm the thinnest I have ever been, although I'm not thin. I was never considered beautiful before because I was overweight. I am learning to respond with thank you to a compliment instead of my default response, which would be no, I'm not. Story 80. I smile and say thank you. It feels nice to be called beautiful, even if you sometimes know they might be saying it just to make you feel good about yourself. But it really does feel good to be appreciated physically. Story 81. It's information I have no clue what to do with. Are you telling me this to flatter me? So why? Are you just speaking your mind? So why in this direct manner? How do you expect me to react? Do you want me to respond similarly? If I don't react as you expect, do we then have a problem? It makes me a little uncomfortable. I'd rather people didn't tell me. My boyfriend telling me is different. Yes, I have Asperger's. Story 82. When I was in university, a girl in my class walked over, told me something, and then returned to her seat. I am still confused about it. Story 83. I was called beautiful only by my bully, who teased me like this. I just remembered I was also called beautiful by a few more people, but I don't believe them. Story 84. The closest I've had is, "You're kind of cute," followed by her friend pointing out that she's drunk. So it could have been beer goggles or I am indeed kind of cute. Story 85. I feel nothing special because I know I am beautiful. People should say something different that sounds attractive and loving. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.